Last week when they said it was all about fear, I was kind of hoping we were getting the hints of the Lantern Corps. The Sinestro Corps would have been cool. But what we got wasn't bad. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Supergirl, Season 3, Episode 2, Trigger. And okay, the question becomes, what are you afraid of? Everyone's afraid of something. Now, if I were Superman slash Supergirl, I'm pretty sure magic and kryptonite would be up there. But I'd mostly be afraid of people that could mess with my mind. If you think about it, psychics are the real threat. It's why Maxwell Lord's is a major threat in the comics. It's why, as much as the new villains of the month are going to be badass, the idea of messing with their mental stability is way scarier. Then again, I also had to ask why, in the movie Pennywise only went after children. And then I realized, because adults fear things that the clown can't turn into. How do you turn into soul-crushing debt and a fear of dying alone? For those of you that are new here, I'm trying to start up a community where we can examine the hows and whys of storytelling. I do reviews like this for movies, TV shows, and stories as they come out, and I do a weekly theory video on how and why we tell stories every Sunday, a Throwback Thursday on Thursday. If that sounds interesting to you, hit the subscribe button. For now, let's get into spoiler territory. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. So we remember that Martian Manhunter is a telepath, and we have him shielding Supergirl. And that kind of reminds me of when I first started reading Manhunter. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, because Superman was already a member of the team, they used his telepathy and shapeshifting a lot more. In fact, there are stories where he has the entire Justice League interconnected in his mind, ones where he reaches in and makes Joker sane, or my personal favorite, one where him and Aquaman control the entire world momentarily. Yet he gets taken down by this new woman almost like an afterthought. Sometimes I think that Manhunter is a little too weak in this series. So size power is the ability to telepathically influence people, telepathically combat people, and possibly telekinesis from the looks of it. Obviously, she's throwing around a bunch of things, especially in the climactic countdown. She also used that telekinetic wave, but her main attack was the telepathic one, the Fear Center one, and that makes me have to say something. Bear with me for a minute. Do you know what the difference between panicking and having a panic attack are from anxiety and having an anxiety attack? They sound very similar, don't they? You don't need to have a supervillain around to have an anxiety attack, especially in this day and age. Let's be honest. We all have our own wars we're fighting in our heads and our own problems. Not to sound too much like an after-school special, but identifying these symptoms could be the difference between surviving them and not. The difference between having a long build-up anxiety or an acute attack of panic are two different things. What happened to Supergirl in the elevator was obviously a panic attack brought on from long-term anxiety about losing those that she loves. And I want you to think about that too, because I hadn't even considered that. The fact that she really does lose everyone in her life. She grew up on Krypton, and then lost it. And now Mon-El and losing Mon-El has just kind of brought it back. The idea of being so afraid. And on top of that, in this episode, she has another stressor. Her secret identity is always problematic. In fact, it's worse tonight, because her best friend Lena is the person she's got to lie to cover. And again, imagine having to lie to the people you care about most. Yeah, it's to protect them. But at the end of the day, she really only has a select few people. It's why I really dig the way CW handles secret identities. And I wanted to say that I really appreciate how they handled the mental part of Supergirl. And I'd like to point out this isn't a new thing. This isn't just because she's facing a fear villain tonight. Way back when, she had the same problem with the anger issues. My only problem is that it might come off that Supergirl overcame it, and she really didn't. Being able to push past it, work through your fear, is different. And yeah, mind over matter helps, but at the end of the day, those insecurities should still be there. And I'm curious to see if they come up throughout the season. I hope so. We do move forward a little bit with some other storylines for the season. For instance, we keep talking about Morgan Edge, and I'm curious to see where that goes, but we don't get a lot of reveal. And of course, we're working on the wedding of Alex and Maggie. And I have to say, the conversations, things like, I don't know if I'm going to have kids or not, and DJ were humorous, but they were all in the side plot. The real big thing we moved forward was Rain. And I'm all sorts of confused as to what's going on with Rain. First of all, in the comics, she's a world destroyer. She's one of the big bads. I mean, there was a point in time at the beginning of her arc where we thought she might be some variant off Doomsday, and by the end of her arc, I wasn't even sure she wasn't. But here, we have just a normal person who's having some sleep problems, and who doesn't showcase her powers that much except for an emergency. And then, on top of that, we have the fact that she's got a daughter. Is that her real daughter? And I just don't know. Okay, and now she's going to be in charge of L Corp? It's just weird. I don't know where they're going with this story. The Wizard of Oz bit at the end was kind of cute, and I do guess there is a whole tying together of Kara's issues of abandonment and what's going on with Rain. But again, I'm kind of curious to see where they go from here. We didn't see Bloodsport this week, and for the most part, there was no major lasting implications for the other villains. But I liked it. What about you guys? Let me know down in the comments, especially if you have anything that you want to add about, say, where you think the story should or will go from here. And of course, like every YouTuber, I need to ask you to hit that like button and share this video on Facebook or on Twitter or with your friends and family, because I'm trying to build a community. And of course, if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button and enable alerts. What I want to do is I want to find a way to talk about the hows and whys of stories, especially superhero stories that I seem to cover a lot. Supergirl is a far-off world. She lives in a fantasy. But it's one that we can all relate to, especially when it comes to the anxiety of losing loved ones. So I want to talk about it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. For now, thanks for watching.